We are actually Africa's indigenous innovative real estate company that is set to dominate the real estate Nigerian sector, starting from Lagos, and based on our capacity and specialization to manufacture affordable modular solar homes from abandoned shipping containers in Lagos. In Nigeria today, we face a current housing deficit of 17 to 22 million housing units. While in Lagos, Nigeria, where ThinkShift is based, Lagos State faces a housing deficit of 3 million units, with more than two-thirds of Lagos residents living in slums. Problem two, due to the unaffordability, 80% of Lagos residents live in poorly built homes and clusters, popularly known as face me, I face you housing units. The third problem states that with the current average income of this 80%, which is about $230 monthly, 87% of Lagos residents actually live in poverty, and of which 66% of them live in slums. Unenviably, it's sad to say Lagos has become the most populous megacity slum of the world. Over to my next colleague to take you on our solution.
At ThinkShift Group, we are offering a solution that is using shipping containers to build homes that are at least 47% cheaper than conventional structures. And also, this structure can be built within 2 to 4 weeks compared to the conventional housing that could be done in 6 months. Our products. We have 2 products on offer to present to you today. The first is a 20-foot container housing, which is a 1-bedroom, a kitchen, a living room, solar that contains also solar panel, and also a bathroom, and can be occupied by 1 to 2 persons, inclusive of the land. The second product is a 40-foot container, shipping container, 3-bedroom, kitchen, living room, and also solar panels, and as well as 2 bathrooms, and this can be occupied to 2 to 4 people. Presenting the SWOT analysis, which are strengths, weakness, opportunity, and threats. The consumer need for housing in Lagos is quite huge, as we have earlier reiterated. So this is a strength for us. And also, we look forward to build appealing buildings that is with good aesthetic design, and also with good durability and longevity. The weakness of our product, we are aware that our product may not appeal to all customers. Being that this is a new concept, people are used to containers being offices and being some other public buildings, but not container homes. And also, there could be financial constraints to the C fund that we need. We see opportunity in the large markets of Lagos and Nigeria, and also we see opportunity in government ability to key into our concept as well. The threats we have identified in our competition, we're going to mention them as the slide progress. Some of the biggest threat also is in government policy and instability in the economy. I will hand over to Elizabeth.
Sorry about that. So we decided to propose a plan that will be affordable to our consumers, a 10-year plan. In the 2 products that we are offering, the 20-foot container and the 40-foot container, the cost to own a full container is $10,000 for a 20-foot container, $17,000 for a 40-foot container. We are actually going to ask for a 20% down payment for both containers. Then the rest of the amount due will be spread over 10 years. That cost comes down to about $67 for a 20-foot container and $114 for a 40-foot container per month after a 20% down payment for 10 years. So how does this compare to the conventional housing currently available? What this does is that for a conventional housing, the amount you pay for a year is not a lease to own payment, but rather a rent payment, due to the fact that there are no credit facilities in Nigeria currently. So individuals who would like to own their home have to have cash on hand, and that's really hard to find, and that's usually an upper class commodity that is available for only upper class individuals. So what we have here is a container that it costs $10,000 and $17,000 for 20 to 40 foot container. You can pay monthly for 10 years. And it takes about 2 to 3 weeks to build a 20 foot and 3 to 4 weeks to build a 40 foot, whereas it takes about almost a year to build a conventional home. Right now, the 20 and 40 foot container is being offered to own. And we are also offering that credit facility, that facility of paying monthly, whereas you can't actually have that for a conventional home. If you pay rent for 10 years, that investment you've made to own a home is gone, because then you don't own the home anymore. You actually just rent and you continue paying rent consequently from then on. So right now, the real estate market in Nigeria is the third largest contribution to the GDP in Nigeria. We've identified that there are 3 million housing deficit units. And these 3 million housing deficit units, only individuals with income about $230 is what is available to get proper housing. So because this amount of money is not enough to actually pay for a whole year rent, or most individuals do not have that year rent to pay, we have decided to come up with this solution where they can pay a very minimal fee per month and they can spread that cost over 10 years and own a comfortable home. As of this moment, the global container housing unit is actually having a compound annual growth rate of 6.5% up until 2025. The global generated revenue by 2025 will be $73.1 billion. So what is our market segment? We are targeting individuals 18 and above, those within the lower to middle class, earning income earners, all genders, families within the size of 1 to 3. Our location will be Lagos, then we'll scale up to other parts of Nigeria. We are also looking at those into the urban lifestyle, minimalist students, and those into modern architecture. Then those who want to attain their own privacy, because right now, as mentioned, due to the deficit, people are either living with other people, squatting, or living in really reduced, uncomfortable housing conditions and less security. But we are providing proper housing security. Who are our competitors? Temple housing, teen space, contextual container housing. All these individuals do not play in the space that we do. They provide solutions for offices, but none for container housing. So what's our business model? We are actually marketing from B2B and B2C. We also deploy digital marketing units. We plan to employ 2,000 units by 2022, which will generate a revenue of $5.4 million. As of right now, we're only asking for $150 million to start off some units, and the revenue and profits that are generated from this we put back into the business to scale up to 2,000 units. So why invest in us? This is a niche market which is actually going to help one of Lagos State's objective of fixing the housing deficit unit. It's also in line with the Sustainable Development Goals of 2023, and it's actually creating better life solutions in Lagos, Nigeria. This is our team, and we thank you very much for this opportunity to talk about our solutions for solving the housing deficit unit in Lagos. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you so much. A global challenge and a fascinating, well-conceived presentation. Question, please, on your the supply chain issue. These are all, I think you referenced discarded or containers in Lagos. Tell me about accessing the supply, the logistics of moving containers to your production facility and then moving them ultimately to their final place, and costs and issues related to just that whole supply chain protocol.
Okay, so as of the moment, Nigeria or Lagos actually has a problem, a lot, we import a lot and we don't export much. So what happens is that we have a lot of containers lying around in the port. So what happens is that the port has decided to sell off these containers. So to get that container is not really not a problem. You have to contact the National Port Authority. What you then do is, because you have a site in which your project is already taking place, you buy that container, you have a truck that then ships that container from the Nigerian Port Authority to your site, and that's basically how it's done. So there's also a problem of too many containers in Lagos, and there's no solution to how to dispose of them because we are not exporting as much as we import. So that solution of accessing containers is really not an issue. Also the solution to take it from the port to your location is not an issue, as well as we actually have trucks, what we call tippers as well, that will be able to, when you buy the container, load the truck and the truck takes it to site. So logistics in that aspect of transportation of container from that side or anywhere else that will be selling container is not going to be a problem, as that truck available is very much available.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for the wonderful presentation. I have just one question. You said this is set for low income through lower medium people. Right now, the average monthly cost, and I'm not talking about the down payment, is $67 per month for 1 bedroom and $114 per month for a 3-bed. Now, the question that is bothering me is that the new minimum wage is $62.5. So how can anybody even be able to afford a 67 one minus feeding and other costs that they are supposed to undertake? I hope you get the question.
Yes, I definitely get your question. Looking at that, it may then be that because this is a 1 to 2 units, it may be that there's the offer to share, and that will depend on the individual. That's the best answer I can give for that. Currently, unfortunately, the minimum wage also does not reflect the true market value of inflation and all in Nigeria, because a lot of times what usually happens with housing is once the exchange rate increases because of importation, the cost of material also increases. So this has an effect. Ultimately, what can happen is we could probably look at the product and see how we could just offer still a comfortable living size unit for a 20-foot container, but it would be limited where if you have a living room that can actually convert into a bedroom, if you put in furniture like pull-out beds, then you can ultimately either change a 20-foot container to a 2-bedroom unit or a 40-foot container to a 4-bedroom unit and have them probably share a kitchen or something like that. So that's the way I can look at it now. I would say that it may be an issue, but this is the best solution I can say we can probably think about. Is having a shared facility that then will not make it affordable for people to have their own space for this particular unit.
Thank you so much. How many cars can you fit into a 20-foot container? How many cars? Have you checked?
I think I'm not checked, to be honest. Maybe someone else can answer.
All right. Did any of you?
No, I'm not sure.
You are not sure. Does any of the team know how many cars you can put in a 20-foot container?
I think it's about 3. I know a 40-foot can take up, no, 40 can take up to 3. A 20-foot should take up to 2.
Right, it's 2.
So,
in
yeah.
2 car lengths, you're going to put 2 bedrooms, a bathroom, a kitchen, and a toilet, and a sitting room, right?
No, in a 20-foot is 1 bedroom.
No.
In 20 foot is 1
So
bedroom.
in that 20-foot, it's actually quite a stretch, really. Because have you prototyped this, and is anybody living in any one of them? So that's the first one.
Okay.
The second question is about sustainability of supply. That's good. You're picking up containers that have been abandoned. But that is not scalable, because what says that you are just depending on people abandoning containers for your supply. And that's not a sustainable source for any form of scalability. In terms of differentiation, I mean, it's not new, this concept. And probably there's a reason why people use it for shops and offices and not homes. I mean, in CWG, we have that, which we use for offices. So in terms of differentiation, what is the innovative spot about this? In other words, people that are already using this for shops or offices, once they find that you make more money from making homes with it, there's no competitive advantage for you. They just flood and start making homes with it. So I'm not so sure about sustainability of supply, scalability, and differentiation, and even the practicality, because I think it's quite a stretch if you go into a 20-foot, that's 2 car lengths, and want to achieve all this in 2 car lengths. But that's just me. Nonetheless, your diagrams look good, and it's a good sales pitch to say, listen, instead of living in shacks, why don't you live in containers? So those are the 3 questions: sustainability of supply, differentiation, scalability.
Okay, can I answer your question now? Okay, so for sustainability, I believe actually this is quite sustainable. I understand what you mean by if we're depending on abandoned containers in the port, but the thing is that we're not just depending on abandoned containers. There's an excess of how many containers can actually be in the port. So if eventually maybe in 3-4 years, Nigeria decides to scale up, or 3-5 years, Nigeria decides to scale up its export units, which sometimes I don't know how possible that will be right now due to the fact that facilities are not in place, then there will still be shipping containers that can still be bought actually to make these homes for individuals. The second thing also is these homes are not meant to be luxury homes, but they're meant to be homes where you're living at least comfortably. You're not in a shack, you're having some privacy to yourself. And I can understand when you say it's a stretch. I completely agree with you. So this is why when we're actually building this, we can create solutions of where, as mentioned, you can turn your bedroom into a living room, or a living room into a bedroom. And this is not just done in a 20-foot container. This is actually done in units right now where spaces where people are very populated in a particular area. They have to manage a particular space where you convert your living room into your bedroom. So it's almost like saying a self-contained environment. So you have that room, the living room, which is your bedroom. Then you have an area for your kitchen, and you have an area for your bathroom. Right now, a lot of individuals are actually living in those kinds of homes, and then but they are living in very unhygienic environment, very clustered environment. It's not private, as you may know. Austin is a face me, I face you kind of situation. But in this container, you are just in there by yourself, excluded from sharing, excluded from you have your own privacy, and you can kind of tweak it how you want it to be. So, but this is not a luxury living. This is supposed to get you by, like you said, when you get to the next big thing, you can actually move away from here. The other beauty about this also is that you can decide to, because it's yours to own, you can pay your rent and then you can rent it out to somebody else because it's actually yours. So in terms of maybe generating either extra income or jobs for other people, the opportunity is also there. As mentioned, it's not a luxury home. Then the third, I can't remember your third question, please. Could you remind me?
Differentiation. What stops other people from just converting from building container offices to container homes and competing with you?
Okay,
to be honest,
Okay,
go ahead,
If I take that, okay, so differentiation in it, yes, you rightly mentioned that there are shops, there are people that are using it for offices already. So, but in our design, it's carefully designed. We are going to have architectural design. It's built to standard, and we also plan to. With a low budget, make it look appealing as possible with proper insulation in the interior and proper demarcation inside of it. So it's going to look totally different from what shop owners and all these guys have. So for anybody that wants to go into our business, yes, we can. We understand that more competitors can come up in near future, but what we are offering to people, we believe, is more appealing and not just any roadside person can convert it into homes that will be appealing to people to live in.
If I may just ask a quick question, well, two, a comment. Can you talk to us a little bit, or if you have an idea about, do you have a more detailed segmentation of the potential buyers beyond saying, okay, this is the average earning per head or something like that, in terms of, when I say more detailed, I mean like fresh graduate, tech worker, consulting company, FMCG, or maybe a gate man, or the kind of human being working in Lagos who have different types of salaries, different type of age. Not to put you on the spot, but like, have you thought of it a little bit in that degree of that type of segmentation? And secondly, how important is the owning thing to your financial model? Like, say, okay, for the example you use of comparative home, I pay this amount over time to own, to rent, whereas this model would be I would do for 10 years to own. Is that owning thing important to this financing model you want to use, so that it has to close after 10 years? Or no, you're just putting that just an option? Like, would your model work equally well if it were this person could rent, stay for a year or two, go away? This is just to clarify, just to understand whether the pay to own after a length of time is important to your financing model, or no, it's not that critical.
Okay, so I'll answer the second question. The pay to own is important in our financial model because, as mentioned, we're trying to make people understand that they can own their own home. A lot of people in Nigeria can't own their home. So that's one of our major competitive advantage, is that financial model, which is not available to everybody by a lot of organizations. So that's very important to our financial model. If individuals just want to rent for a year, that's also available. Then it won't be a rent to own. We'll then probably bill you for just the entire year. That's about it for that aspect. Then the market segment, we actually thought about that. I think one of our peak presentation, we went into the fintechs and those who would be able to afford this. We didn't really dive into that because we just thought, okay, probably lower to middle class kind of covers that range of individuals who would like to purchase this. And so when it comes to maybe the urban lifestyle, those who are minimalist or modern architecture, then you're talking to probably the middle upper class individuals, those working in the FMCGs or the fintechs or banks and the upper class working institutions, as compared to maybe the gate man as well. So it all depends on it actually covers a wide segment of individuals.
Okay, so just to quickly say, the reason I ask is that I do think there's strong potential, but I think it's all about segmentation and design. As we're right now, so over the past 1 hour, one of my team has been sending me messages on our chat platform. She's actually on the road. She spent the past 3 hours, she's looking at homes in the whole axis, and she's looking at things between $1 million, 1.5, because that, I think it came to about 600,000 per year when I converted the Naira, something I'm just saying from memory. And a lot of my folks who are young are looking, they're actually thinking of things beyond that price range. Or maybe they're thinking that, okay, 3-4 years from now, I may be going to Canada, or 4-5 years from now, I will not want to be living in that kind of place. But perhaps for her or for him, as the case may be, a home like that looks very nice, aesthetic, could be great for the next 3 years, and it's only me. And so I think that there are all sorts of different types of people in Lagos, and I just have a very strong suspicion or feel, based on the fact that we hire a lot of young people, and so I pass through this thing every year just because I get interested in it, that if the segmentation is right, which is why I asked about the owning and the duration, because that human package comes with a cost, how long do they want to be doing that, and where, if that segmentation is tight, you may actually unlock maybe not the kind of person we may be thinking of, who may be resembling us more, but it may be a different kind of person, a different type of duration. But when you have 3 million people, 3 million homes to attend to, there's probably lots of different types of humans going on in that 3 million. And segmentation, my recommendation would be try to get very tight on segmentation. I have a strong suspicion you will find the person you're looking for. It may not be in the segment you had in mind originally, because there are all sorts of people looking in that 3 million space. That's why I was asking those questions.
All right. Thanks, TJ. We take that into consideration.
Can I add something? Sorry. Okay.
Oh no, I just have I have a question. Oh, I'm sorry. Go. Oh, you wanted to answer the question more?
Yes, I was just going to buttress a point that Elizabeth made, and based on what the previous speaker mentioned about the segmentation, I believe it actually fits into every segment, especially based on the fact that if you look at the demographic of who we are targeting is based on the population, on the age of 18 plus, but mainly the youthful populace in that regard. So this is meant to be sort of like a temporary settlement, basically. So you could be working in Aja, for instance, and perhaps you're living you're living in Aja and you're working in Lekki, and I have this kind of space for you that you could rent from Mondays to Fridays. On a corporate organization could get that kind of setting for its staff, and then it actually increases productivity because on time from work is very close, and then weekends they can go back home. So it actually meets into that kind of segment also corporately. Then in terms of other segment, we also have B2Bs in terms of, okay, you have people that they want to own their own homes instead, and then we create a kind of will I say local government area kind of segmentation that you can live in this and this, we can do this container housing for you based on so and so people that want to own their own container buildings, basically. So that's in terms of ownership as well. So in terms of rental, we're just looking at temporary things that, you're not looking at staying at most 3 to 4 years or a year, and then the rent keeps on going, and then there's maintenance of it with that and all of that. So I think it's actually very scalable and sustainable in that regard, based on the fact that Lagos is already choked up and all of that, and man, nobody knows what tomorrow is. With this pandemic, and very sincere. So everybody is looking for something they can do now temporarily and then just move on, basically.
Hi. I don't know. I think we don't have a lot of time, but I just I wanted to actually just support what TJ just said about segmentation. I think there's a lot there to consider, because I love your idea, not because it's no one has ever done it before, no one has ever thought of it before, but because housing in Nigeria, in Lagos, and even the wider African continent is a serious issue, and we really do need to do something about it. And there's a symphony of solutions, and this could be one of them. So I think TJ is really correct on segmentation, because I'm thinking, if you even have a child, let's say you're a mother and a father with a child, the chances of looking at this as an option is lower, not because it may not be a viable option, but I think there is some blockage around, there's a way people think about what housing should be when you have children versus what housing should be if you're, let's say, single. So I think being very clear about who this would attract is very important. And then the second question is, where do you buy the land? Maybe you mentioned this before and I'm not remembering, but do you buy the land, and how do you identify where you actually put the container and build it out? And then third question is, how much does a container cost you to build? You told us how much you would charge me if I was interested in buying it, but how much does it cost you to build it? And then yeah, those are the questions. I have others, but that's fine. We hope we don't have a lot of time. Thank you.
Sure. Okay. So it costs us about $6,700, $7,000 to build the container. That's the last question. Then the second question was in regards to, sorry, what was the first question?
So the second question is about the land.
Yes, the land is inclusive.
Where to have the land.
Yes, we actually acquired the land in several areas in Lagos. So the price that you see here, right here, is inclusive of land, which is actually part of the product. So when you're purchasing this property, you're actually purchasing the land as well. If you maybe have your land on your own, then you can come up with a plan for that. But this comes with the land, so it's not where it's not something that a customer comes to meet us and we have to look for a land for them, but land is available. So that price does come with the land. Hello?
Comments or questions?
Yes, maybe it's Anil. A last question to go a little bit further there after those two questions is, I think that something that is really important in your business is your cash model, because in fact, what I understand from your presentation is that your business is cash intensive, so you need to buy the land. You need to buy or to produce, in fact, the containers, and you lease, in fact, those containers. So that means that in your business model, you will need a huge amount of cash, directly or indirectly. And how you build a company and how you build the cash of the company is key to be able to scale or not the company. And this is not totally clear to me how you build it.
So in the seed money given, actually, the cost of the land is actually included. So we've actually put all the costs into perspective, where we'll get the land, how much the land is in certain areas of Nigeria. And that cost to actually start off with about 100 to 200 units, it's been included in the $150,000 seed money. So that actually is included from container to land to installation to labor to licenses that will actually be needed in Lagos, and to some other factors that actually do determine sometimes the prices of products or land. That actually has been included in the fee. So this fee giving can actually be used to start up about 200 units in Lagos, Nigeria, and from there, the profits that actually generated can be used to scale up to 2,000.
And if I may, the more containers, the more cash you will need. So I think, as far as I'm concerned, that you have something to dig a little bit around your cash model and how you scale the company in the future, and not as a deputy director general of a business school, but also as a venture capital analyst and advisor for funds. The cash model is key in the way you analyze the companies and the startups. And here, I think there is a slight issue on it.
Can I add to that? I think I totally agree with Anil. This is a cash-intensive business to start. And the one thing I was going to suggest, is I don't think you guys have actually built one of these. And so your model for building 200 in a very short amount of time, your assumption about how long it takes to build one of these, combined with the issue of acquiring land and the regulatory piece, makes me think that your rollout schedule for the first 200 is extremely optimistic. And so one thing I would encourage you to do is to just build one of these and see what it takes and how hard it is, because you will be able to stress test your cash model, your financial model, much better after you do one. And it's not in traditional housing development, building a model home as a way of demonstrating your abilities and selling the concept is extremely important. And since some of your competitors are already making these things, you need to demonstrate that you can make them too, and that you can make them within the cost model that you've projected, and that people will be attracted. So if you're serious about raising capital, you need to show that you can do this first. And maybe I'm wrong, maybe you've already done it, and there's a model home sitting out there that I haven't seen, but I didn't see it in the photos.
Yes, so sorry about that, Darius. We actually have built this, and that's why we know that it's going to take about 2 to 3 weeks to actually build up these units. Unfortunately, one of our colleagues who was in the school wasn't able to make it. We'll have talk more extensively on this, and sadly, we didn't put any pictures here for you to see that. But I think one of the pictures, or some of the pictures actually are on our peak. We put that in the earlier stages of the business, but this has actually been built. So that's
okay. So that was your house that you guys built. Okay, that's helpful. Thank you.